January 10th, 2023, organizational meeting to order. Would you stand with me for the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have roll call?
Dr. Swab,
Here.
Mrs. Brewer,
Here.
Pastor Reindl,
Here.
Mr. Biesecker,
Here.
Mr. Manuel.
Here. Well, since this is our organizational meeting, we are here for the election of officers. Do we have a nomination for president?
I nominate Dr. Swab.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Come on, Trey, come on. Do we have a call for the vote?
Pastor Reindl,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Abstain.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
Dr. Swab, this was short-lived.
Sorry for the delay.
No, there was no delay. We just got started. You
Like
went
pacing
through it
issue, I'm
like it was
sorry.
like-
Every time to change clothes, so sorry about that. So next we move to electing vice president. And I would nominate Maria. We have any other nominations?
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call for approval.
Pastor Reindl,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Abstain.
I want to thank everybody for allowing me to lead this group again for another year. I think I've been on the board for a few years, and this has been the best board and administrative team that we've had in a long time. And I appreciate everybody's, the teamwork that this group has created and the growth and the positive development that we've had. So I think you couldn't ask for any more right now. I think we continue to move forward in a positive direction. Everybody's doing a great job. Super appreciated.
Appreciate the leadership and cooperation we've got from the board. Thank you as well.
Ditto.
So our next item is setting the regular meetings for this upcoming year. Do we have, is the cadence the same, good, bad, indifferent?
If we have the desire to stay on the third Tuesday of the month, I can't find a single conflict through the entire year. I would suggest, if we do that, we would have our organizational meeting no later than January 9th, which would be the second Tuesday, kind of like what we did for this year. If we did the second Tuesday, we would just do the second Tuesdays all the way through. The only conflict with that would be the 4th of July. We would have to schedule around that. That was the only thing that I saw was irregular with that. But even if you guys want to pick a different day, I'll come up with dates real quick if you are interested in something different.
I'm flexible. Monday through Wednesday is perfect for me.
Okay.
Thursday probably wouldn't work good, Thursday or Friday, but I could do it. Yeah.
Friday night board meetings. Let's try that.
Absolutely.
And stay married.
Absolutely not.
I agree. A little challenge for everybody. Does anybody have thoughts, schedule conflicts, pluses or minuses?
Just for the February, earlier meeting would be better than later in the month. But I want Trey to know that the 14th is Valentine's Day, and I don't want him to forget that. So that might not be the best day for a meeting.
That would be a potential conflict, yes.
Potential.
Holiday, is it?
Potential.
Hallmark.
Hallmark.
It's a made-up holiday.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah, I'm, third Tuesday works great, but if you guys wanna change it, I'm open to that too, whatever you.
I'm fine with that. I have a extremely large amount of meetings in this year. I know that one doesn't look like it conflicts with any of my hospital meetings. I'm open to kind of navigate the other ones, whatever anybody wants. Just probably Thursdays will hit a lot of my hospital meetings and Mondays.
Mondays will hit hospital meetings.
Yeah.
Well, then let's stay with Tuesdays. If there's no problems with
How does it
that,
work for you guys? Which
It's
is
fine.
really the most important.
it's fine.
I think we ended up moving it to Tuesday, so it gave you Monday to kind of tweak things and fix stuff.
It did.
Monday turned out to be
Monday
change
was
the agenda
rough.
to like 2 minutes before the meeting.
Right. Monday was rough. Tuesdays work better for us. So I'm fine with Tuesdays.
That sounds good to me.
And the question then would be second Tuesday or third Tuesday. We've done third Tuesday this year and it's worked okay. You want to stick with it or if you want to change it up, whatever works.
Stick with it. Ain't broke, don't fix it.
Sounds good. I
Third
can't argue with
Tuesday.
that.
Okay. All right,
April.
third Tuesdays, you ready for some dates?
Yeah, if you send us an email, put it on our calendar, that'd be even better.
I will do that too. Do you want me to announce them now or do you want me to just send them to you?
You can send them.
Okay, I will
I
send them
would
to you.
recommend the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Please.
Okay, Carla wants them on the minutes. So it'd be February 21st, March 21st, April 18th. I'm gonna just do numbers. 5/16, 6/20, 7/11, 8/15, 9/19, 10/17, 11/21, 12/19, and my suggestion would be 1/9 since we've got to do it within the first 10 days.
It's best to do it now and try to do it in December and forget it.
And we want to stick with 6:30 for everything except the organizational meeting. We'll do that at 6 o'clock. Just
That
because it
works.
throws everybody off.
Is July 11th a
Third, the third,
Thursday?
third Tuesday, July 11th. you
Tuesday.
said?
Well, that doesn't sound right, does it?
No.
It's July 18th.
Oh, yeah, the 18th.
Well, I don't know why I had the 4th. That wouldn't be the second Tuesday either.
But it
No,
wasn't
you have the
Tuesday.
11th,
Yep.
so it'd be the 18th,
18. My apologies. You're right. Thank you for catching that.
and then August would still be, it would be the 15th. Okay,
Yeah, it
And
should be
there was-
at least 14 or after.
It is.
So we're okay.
There was a reason to read that.
Yes, it was. So I will plug those into the calendar tomorrow and send y'all an invite. So 6 o'clock or 6:30 for everything except the organizational meeting, which will be 6 o'clock, right?
okay.
It looks like you don't have that down for a vote, we just
No.
arranged that.
We don't.
So our next item is setting up our establish the service fund at $6,000.
So moved?
In a second. Any discussion? I think that's kind of historical, and we don't ever usually tap that out at close.
Not even close.
So roll call for approving.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
And the next item is authorizing the treasurer for the duties listed on your agenda. We won't go through those because they're the same and standard. Motion to approve those listed duties.
moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions for Carla about the duties that we normally will delegate to her?
Does she want to?
We delegate them, shouldn't have, I guess, one of them, right? It's by her desire to have the position.
I think it's default, and it's a riveting meeting, so getting to do House Bill 9 information is just great.
I thought maybe you're gonna pass them on to your training.
Yeah, well, I didn't say that that might not happen.
Delegating the delegation, right?
That's exactly right.
If no other questions, then a roll call for approval, please.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
Next item is authorizing the superintendent for the items A through G that are listed on our agenda.
So moved.
And I'll second. Any discussion regarding those items, questions? Roll call for approval.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
And our next items for approval go through the next, which is setting the elementary principal as a liaison with homeless students, authorizing the Board of Education members to attend seminars. And the next is a public purpose resolution, which I won't read to you, which is on the next following pages. I've had a chance to review our pre-read. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
And second,
Second.
any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call to approve then.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
So our next item is setting up our liaison representatives. And for this year, for the Career Center, I think you are already set to continue.
Yes,
correct?
it isn't expired yet, right? It was 2 years. So it will expire next year.
I think I'm okay
I
with
was
you
thinking it
doing
was
that.
up this year. I got something from Jason saying we need to know who's there and who's not, so I just made the assumption that maybe it was. But I remember it was a term that,
It was, we
It
did
was
1, 2, and 3 year
multiple years.
term, and I thought mine was 2. And then next year it'll be 3. So I think, because we mixed it up how they did it, we had to rechange the years up. So I think we're good, but if you want to do that, we
say,
can.
we may want to do it just to be safe,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah, we just make it official and then just sync with that, however you have.
Okay.
Do we have volunteers to be the OSB policy legislative person? Trace shaking his head. Is that a yes?
That sounds like a miserable.
I think that'd be a great job.
Misery loves company.
Tim President Lilly?
And I will preface, all of these, over the course of the last year and even probably 6 years, I'm not sure we've called on any of them for
Anything in particular?
any in-depth conversations, just a heads up here and there, and nothing major. The really
I'll take the
only two that were,
You think?
Okay.
Is that to avoid one of the other?
Politicians can learn a thing or two.
Trey's going to the courthouse.
I'll keep the one I had, things alumni community.
Strategic planning and grounds.
sure,
We have athletics and finance left.
I'll do finance. That leaves one of you guys to athletics.
Yeah.
I'll take athletics.
You do that?
Yep.
Awesome.
And we really don't have to do it.
I want to overwork him today, right? He's already worked hard this afternoon. So that is our slate of distributing our duties. Do we have a motion to approve that list?
May I reaffirm?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Maria for the Senate Representative, Trey for legislation, because he wants to go to Columbus. Next strategic plan, Scott B. and Trey for athletics. Distinguished alumni for Scott B. and finance for Maria.
Okay.
And I'll move to approve those. Do we have a second?
The move.
And Scott, and we'll roll call for approval.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
Item K is employing Bricker and Eckler as legal counsels. Do you have a motion to approve?
so move.
I'll second.
And second. Any discussion or questions?
Just to throw in there, we do have a second firm in there with Savashi, Gildermuth, and Justice. So we will be using both of those.
Thank you. Any other discussion? We'll call for approval.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
And do we have a motion to adjourn our organizational meeting?
The box disappeared.
So moved.
Second.
We'll call for approval of the box of your desire.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
I've got 6:20.
And we springboard right into the next one, correct? So we'll call our regular meeting to order. Pledge has been completed, so we'll call for our regular meeting at 6:20, please.
Dr. Swab.
Here.
Mrs. Brewer.
Here.
Pastor Rindle.
Here.
Mr. Bisecker.
Here.
Mr. Manuel.
Yes. Here.
Thank you everyone for coming today. We'll go next, we'll just approve our agenda in our minutes. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda that we have printed? Did you have anything different? And if there's no additions or deletions, we have a motion to approve the printed agenda.
I move.
There's Trail second, and a roll call for approval.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yeah.
Pastor Rindle.
Yes.
Next item is approving our December 20th minutes. A motion to approve.
So moved.
Scott and I'll second. Any discussion? None, roll call for approval, please.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Rindle.
Yes.
Next, I'd like to turn the meeting over to our administrative team for this spotlights.
I had one parent that was gonna come for the spotlight, so I just texted her, it was Mrs. Sink's son. So I'm not quite, I'm not sure, he's not a really public, doesn't like to be drawn attention to. So I'm not sure if they'll show up, so I'm gonna save him for last in case they do show up.
Sure.
This month is the kindergarten and beginning garden, nominations for the spotlights. We have, Walter Espich, and he was nominated by Mrs. Riddle. Mrs. Riddle writes, I'd like to recognize Walter Espich from my kindergarten classroom for this month's student spotlight. He is the son of Ryan and Bethany Espich. Walter enjoys playing board games and creating his own games as well. Walter came to kindergarten a little shy, but is now starting to come out of his shell a little more. He is communicating with the classmates and teachers more often. As a result, we are seeing a lot of Walter's fun personality coming out. Walter came into kindergarten already knowing how to read. He likes to read anything that I put in front of him. He has worked really hard on his handwriting since the beginning of the school year. It was a challenge for him, but he has shown a great improvement in that area. Walter also does very well with mathematics. He is receiving some of his instruction with Mrs. Garrett, who is helping to push Walter with his math skills. Lately, Walter and Miss Sally have been writing questions to one another on the whiteboards and answering one another using writing. This is helping not only improve his reading, but his writing skills as well. I'm really enjoying having Walter in my class this school year because he's not only brings a wealth of knowledge in terms of vocabulary, but he also brings a lot of fun and laughter as well. These are the many reasons why I would like to recognize this amazing Bradford kindergartner student, Walter Espich. Congratulations, Walter, and great job. Can we go to the,
Yep,
okay, just in case.
that's the one.
Okay, this is Amelia Minnick, and she was nominated by Mrs. Fry. The student I'm choosing for Bradford Student Spotlight is Amelia Minnick. Amelia is 6 years old and loves school. Her favorite color is purple, and her favorite toys are LOLs and Barbies. She loves to play a Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch with her brother. Amelia's best friend is Sunny in our class. Amelia is always so bubbly. Each morning I look forward to her greeting. She always has a story to tell and a smile on her face. She's a hard worker who displays all the qualities of a pack's leader. She can read all the red words, identify all the letters and sounds we have learned so far, and is working on early reading. She also does very well in math. I am extra proud of the effort she puts in each and every day. Amelia is a model student. She listens and participates during the school day. Not only that, but she plays well with her peers at recess and helps them if they need help. We walk down the hallway, I can always count on her being Bradford's best. I truly enjoy having her in my classroom. Way to go, Amelia. Keep up the great work. And if you look at her hair right there, her mom does her hair like that and gets made up to the T every day with her hair done. And it's been like that since beginning garden. If you want to go to the high school ones then, or junior high, and then I'll come back to that. Okay. Aaliyah Biddlestone was nominated by Mr. Koberman. My nominee for Student Spotlight is Aaliyah Biddlestone. Aaliyah, since my first day at Bradford, has been a student that I can rely on to be prepared and be engaged with the content in my class. In my 8th grade American History class, she has received an A in both of the first 2 quarters. Aaliyah comes prepared every day and never complains about anything we are doing. Every time I ask a content-related question, she is smiling, raising her hand, wanting to answer the question, which makes me excited as a teacher. Great job, Aaliyah, and congratulations. And Mrs. Boland nominated Kaylin Richard. She says, I'd like to recognize sophomore Kaylin Richard as Bradford's Student Spotlight. Kaylin is the daughter of Matt Richard and Alicia Kleiman. She has 2 siblings, Logan and Natalie. In her free time, she enjoys playing volleyball. She also takes joy in reading and spending time with friends. She has a passion for learning, participating in interesting class projects. She's an excellent student who is always helping others and has a strong work ethic. She has taken an interest in pre-calculus this year, which is her favorite class. Good for her. In the future, Kaylin would like to become a speech pathologist where she can continue to help others. Great job, Kaylin, and congratulations. Did she say she was coming? I know. I think something happened. Brittany nominated Cooper Sink, and so if you want to read Cooper since you stayed, I'll let Mrs. Clark read her own since she's here right
now. Cooper Sink is receiving this student spotlight because he has made huge growth during the first half of the school year. He has strengthened his independent academic and social skills a great deal. Cooper is a great role model for his classmates. He completes his work in a timely manner, follows directions, and is leading our class in dojo points. Lastly, Cooper works well in large and small groups. He is an active participant and is always willing to lend a helping hand. Cooper Singh is a pleasure to have in class. Great job, Cooper, and congratulations.
Well, Mrs. Fry, we just did yours.
I thought it was at 6:30.
Well, this is what happened. We had an organizational meeting, and so with the
We
organization.
started a couple minutes early.
Okay, so maybe I need to say, I have my staff spotlights on top of the ones we have on here as well. The teachers who came in and we appreciate you being here, but you did a great job on Amelia's write-up. Do you want to read it again?
I mean, I don't necessarily have
Would you like to add anything else about your class or anything since you are here?
I mean, I have a great class this year. I can't make any complaints, so it's a good year.
Again, I apologize. I told Chris that we're starting early.
I was like, man, I thought my husband got home.
Usually earlier even, so.
It's fine.
The teachers do a great job. It's been neat to see how their phonemic awareness and phonologic awareness has improved so much. So I do commend both of you on your doing, so thank you.
What are the dojo points?
It's our reward system, basically. So if students are participating or if they are being what we call PAX leaders, then they'll get dojo points. If they're helping others, they'll get a point, but they can also get points taken. So if they are not doing what they're supposed to, if they're hitting the principal or kicking their neighbor or maybe just talking, anything, they can lose a dojo point for it too. So, and then I have in-class rewards for that, so.
It's also a way to communicate with parents. So there's a dojo piece where there's communication, where we can write messages and share things that are going on in their classrooms.
Okay.
I can add you to the dojo if you want to see what else sent out. I really don't mind.
Just don't keep me on it forever.
Yeah, there's a lot of notifications. Ask the parent.
So for staff spotlight this month, this is January, and typically we have a recognition for our board members. So this is our board member recognition month.
So as a part of this, I'm not going to ask you guys to approve the recognition for yourselves, but I'm going to embarrass you just a
That,
little
that
bit.
seemed a little
A
off.
little backwards. Yeah. So anyways, there is a resolution here. I'm gonna highlight just a couple pieces of this. Basically talking about how school board members are committed to children, believe that all children can succeed. They work closely with their parents, our educational professionals, and our community members. Our board members ensure instruction and structure that provides solid foundation for our school systems. And they are strong advocates for public education and being responsible for communicating the needs of the district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. It is therefore known that the Bradford Exempted Village School District do hereby declare appreciation to the members of the Bradford School Board of Education, proclaim the month of January 2023 as School Board Recognition Month, and urge all citizens to recognize the dedication and hard work of the Bradford School Board members in working with them to mold an educational system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children. I would like to say personally, I go to a lot of superintendent events. I was just at one yesterday with school superintendents from around the area, from Cincinnati to Springfield area. And you hear a lot of stories about how the school board is not working well together and there's not a cohesive relationship with administration. I, for one, have appreciated from day one the group we've got here and absolutely love working with the school board we have and have seen the dedication and determination that you guys have and legitimate care for our kids. So I would personally like to thank each one of you. Thank you for all you do for our kids. This is a thankless job, and you are definitely here for the right reasons. And we have a very short video here just to echo some of that.
Thank you, Board of Education, for all you do for our school. Thank you, Mr. Director. Thank you, Dr. Swall. Thank you, Mr. Manuel. Thank you, Ms. Burr. Thank you, Master Rindell. Thank you, Mr. Peacesetter. Thank you, Board of Education, for all you do for our school. Thank you, Master Rindell. Thank you, Mr. Peacesetter. Thank you, Ms. Brewer. Thank you, Dr. Swall. Thank you, Mr. Manuel. Thank you, Dr.
Oh, I am not the tech guy today.
Good luck for you.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
You'll see that's shut off. Okay. All right, we're just going to say thank you, everybody.
Yes, that was very nice.
Let me try the very end.
Thank you, Mr. Manuel. Thank you, Board of Education, for all that you do for our school.
Very nice.
So thank you, everybody. And again, I don't know what I'm doing here with my whatever's going on, obviously.
Not PowerPoint.
That's it. Okay, I've got it now. So there we go. Thank you very much, everybody. Very much appreciate what you do. There is a small gratitude there with, or token of gratitude on your desk. So appreciate all you do for our kids.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and sorry for taking thunder. Whoever was going next is welcome to, are we doing happenings?
There aren't a lot of happenings because we've had 2 weeks since we've been back, so this is going to be short and sweet. For the elementary, then we had Christmas parties, and it was they had a lot of fun. You know, the excitement because till the 22nd to keep everybody going. It's always fun to see how excited they get when they give a present to someone, and that was the neatest part of when we have our parties. And as you can see, the Grinch is there, and that is Mr. Snyder, who is dressed up like the Grinch. So we had a lot of good times and fun on that day. We had a STEM activity with gingerbread houses. I had a picture too, because what they did is they had a positive and a negative, and they had a battery that they used to make their houses light up. And so they got them decorated. We had parents come in to help with this, which is nice to have the parents that can come back into the building. They decorated and made these, and then they had a light that they stuck in the middle. And then the houses, because they were made out of gingerbread, lit up, and they talked about what caused them to, why the positive and the negative, what you had to put together to make the electricity actually work with the battery. So it was not only a fun activity, because, it's hard to keep attention this time of the year, but they also were into trying to figure out why did that work and why did it not work when they were doing the STEM activity. And I think that's it for me.
Yeah, like Michelle said, we've been back for 2 weeks, so we don't have a whole lot to share. But these are our students of the week for the last couple weeks prior to. Kids have been doing a great job. So, definitely appreciate all the hard work and everything that they put in going into exams. Things turned out very well. Our second 9 weeks grade cards, I looked through every single student, junior high and high school, and actually saw a lot of improvement from last year to this year. So I was very happy to see that. So, but those are our students of the week. Don't get to honor our UVCC students nearly as much as I'd like to, but we had 2 students for the first semester at the UVCC. What the Career Center does is they will elect a student of the month, student of this each month, but they will do one for all of juniors, one for all of seniors, and Owen Beechler was the student of the month for all of the juniors at UVCC. And kind of like what Maria said at our last board meeting, the Career Centers are exploding. And they have almost 1,000 total students. So, Owen was selected as student of the month out of about 500 students, which is very impressive. Riley Stanfield, award of merit is she was selected as the top performer in her field, which I believe was early childhood. So we have a lot of great kids going to the Career Center. They're very successful. We get updates on them on a weekly basis, and I just can't get over, how well our students do there. And when I talk to the administration, they just couldn't be happier with students from Bradford. They say they take a whole building of Bradford students, and I don't blame them because I love the building that we have here, and I know the kids that are going over there. So that's what we've got going on. These are some upcoming things. We've got some 2-hour delays in those school situations. So tomorrow we have a 2-hour early release for teacher professional development. Next Monday, we're off for Martin Luther King Day. There's a athletic booster meeting on the 25th, and then on the 1st is a PTO meeting. Both of those are in the media center. I didn't put those on there. We have parent-teacher conferences on the 8th. Great way to find out how your students are doing here in the building. Good check-in time. And then on the 17th, we do not have school again for professional development, in which case we are combining with Franco Monroe and Arcanum and doing a giant PD day over at Arcanum with lots of different topics that teachers are going to get to choose from. So we're hoping that's a pretty good day. And they get to collaborate with other teachers from other districts, which we don't get to do very often because we all work and they work at the same time. So hopefully they'll have a lot of things to discuss and experiences that they're having either at FM or Arcanum and our teachers can share at Bradford as well. And then the last thing, obviously, we're in the middle of winter sports season, so we've got a ton of games going on, starting with, Mississinawa Valley. This weekend, we've got games with Mississinawa Valley coming up. We have our first home powerlifting meet on Saturday, along with our girls basketball game at St. Henry. And then our boys do play at Troy Christian. Next week, we have Tri Village, so junior high boys and girls are on the 17th. Our girls are on the 19th. And then the high school boys are here at home against Tri Village on Friday next week. And then we go the next week and we start with Dixie. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty. I mean, once you get to the end of January, you start looking at brackets and where teams might play in terms of seedings and things of that nature. And we're almost there. So, in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna be getting close to wrapping up our winter sports season, which is crazy to think about. It just seems like the school years just go so fast.
Just for the record, all those dates are correct. They should say 1 instead of 12.
Yeah, they should say that.
So
That's good. I thought it was just my glasses. I'm like.
No, I apologize.
That's it.
It's for January.
And if anybody's really interested, the powerlifting meet on the 14th is a push-pull meet. And the Lions Club and the Boosters are collaborating to have a biscuit and sausage gravy for breakfast as an option. So if anybody wants to come up and do that, and then we'll do the traditional pancake breakfast on the February 18th meet. So
That's all we have. Unless you have any questions.
Are you gonna have track meets on this track this year?
I would love to say yes, but unfortunately I won't be able to.
we wish.
We're getting there.
I've been amazed at the progress. I mean, I looked out the window today and they're out there doing tiling, so.
Maybe a fall, how's that?
What's that?
Maybe a meet in the fall instead of the spring.
Well, we had a good winter.
There we go.
They've been making progress.
There has been discussion of that, so.
Michelle, before we forget, do you wanna, oh, we did sings, never mind. I was gonna say, we don't wanna forget to do that kid we skipped, but she did it. And then-
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said something. That
Yes,
was
because
good.
I'm like, oh, yeah, but I forgot.
She did write me and say they weren't gonna be able to make it, so.
Okay.
There has been discussion about doing a cross-country meet home this year and finishing on the track. So if you can pull that off and find a weekend that people can come here and participate, that would be a great way to start.
Have you, don't know if you could start it on the track and end it there.
That would be cool. I don't know if it's possible. We're gonna see if it works.
I wish it goes like through the creek.
No,
That was always fun at Tri Villages and East when they did that.
Yeah.
Next, I guess.
Right,
Mrs.
but they
Brewer.
left.
I don't have anything. We haven't met, so we're good.
Mr. Hurst?
Yes, I have a few updates. Construction obviously is going well. They put in more under drains in the football field today. They have basically 3 quarters that they're doing, and they've got 4 quarters to do. They've got 3 of them done. So the only piece that they've got left is this area down here on the close side to us, right here in the very bottom part of this picture, in the bottom part. So that's it on the under drains, and then they can do the irrigation. The other group can come in, take over the field, do the irrigation. The fence company's ready to roll. I'm hoping by the end of the month, they'll start with the 4-foot fence around the perimeter of the track. We've got bleachers ordered, and they're supposed to be here in the end of February. The press box, we awarded at the contract was awarded at the last board meeting on December 20th. We awarded it the 21st. We called them and said, let's go. So they've got block being ordered. It's supposed to be 3 to 4 weeks out on that. Irrigation, under drain, fence, press box, and bleachers. And that should wrap up most everything. Oh, scoreboard's going to be taken down this week or next. So whenever he gets the crane over here and pulls that down, we should be able to start refurbing that and making it look pretty. The top piece is already being built, so hopefully we're going to have something very proud of to work with there. I want to make aware anybody that is listening out there, we have had a group that has been soliciting donations from our community that has not gone through us. We've got a person by the name of Kayla that has been calling on behalf of a group that was solicited through the school that we play our sectional girls basketball tournament with. Because we play there, they try to sell ads for the program. So they call and say, your school is going to be playing here. Would you like to buy an ad? But they flower it up a little bit and make it sound a little more like you're supporting Bradford School District, and they're really not. So I've called them. I said, please stop. So I don't know if that's gonna continue, but I just want people to know that there's a lady by the name of Kayla Collins that has made those phone calls. And there has been a business here in our district that has called and says, is this legit or is this a scam?
So it's really legit, but they
It's
shouldn't be
legit, but
calling,
they're
so
not
it's not, okay,
Calling on our behalf. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's a legit piece, it's just not for us.
Okay.
And the last part I wanted to talk about was our school buses. You'll see later in our agenda that we've got 2 school buses for approval tonight. Really excited, we had a $790,000 grant awarded to us through the Ohio Clean School Bus Program, and an additional $65,700 and some dollars through the Ohio Department of Education. We will have 2 buses, and we're going to do something very unprecedented and maybe a little odd, but the suggestion and the recommendation tonight is to order 1 bus from Bluebird and 1 bus from Thomas. And the reason for that is we had a conversation with both of our school bus drivers. One of them really likes the transit style bus that we've been driving here with Bluebird. One of them likes the C2 Thomas bus. They both came to us and said, okay, we will give you a good deal on these. We got the deals through EPC. And the way the grants work out, the dollars work almost perfectly for doing a combination of both of them. And it actually gives us more bus for what we're giving. Had we done 1 bus, only 1 bus, we would have been paying $40,000 to $50,000 more than what we were going to. If we'd have done the other bus, we'd have been giving money back to the state and losing that grant money and having less to work with. As it turns out, I believe that we can put both of these buses on the road, a total of $800,000+ worth of buses for less than $30,000 charged to the school district. And that would include all the infrastructure, the charging stations, and everything that goes with it. So for $30,000 to have 2 brand new buses, much less electric buses, and all that goes with it is, in my opinion, an interesting deal that couldn't be passed up. So hopefully this all works out. We do have those for later on. We do have some charging station pieces that are still being completed, but we can modify that through next month if we need to. We actually had the one that's on there for today. It is still possible, but realistically, I found another deal that I like much better that can charge more buses at the same time for a little less money. So we're going to stick with what we've got on the agenda, but next month we may have a modification to that. So that being said, that's all I have for this evening, and I'm excited for all this, and I'll take any questions anybody's got.
Are there any, or what are the strings attached to receiving this grant for the buses as far as, obviously we'd have to keep records that we can tell them how it's working out and so forth, but is there anything that's really over the top expected of us?
No, we share all those conversations and that data. In fact, I'm not even sure there's a requirement of that, but I think the way we're structuring it, we're going to actually have a different electric meter coming into from the pole.
So you know exactly
So
what
we
it's
know,
costing.
right, exactly, and it'll just be for those chargers. There won't be anything attached to it outside of that. So it'll be easier to monitor that way. There's electronic monitoring that will be able to be gone through our phones to be able to schedule them to charge starting at 10 o'clock at night, so it misses the high draws through the day. Mm-hmm. So we've got that capability on all these chargers to do that. On top of that, and talking about different things, the 2 buses that are replacing, both of those buses are supposed to be scrapped. So at the end of the day, we've got 2 buses that, in my opinion, are worthy of that. They're ready to go. In fact, if I could hurry it up and get them into the scrapyard before that, I'd be fine with that. But we've dumped some money into to just keep them on there. What's that?
What bus numbers are they?
12 and 13. So we will be keeping 14. That's the handicap bus with the lift on it. That's the only in my opinion, non-new bus that we've got. And if we continue to get grant money next year, maybe that's something we look at for that. But we had to have one of those buses on the road during count week in October to be able to get that $65,000 grant. And that's bus 13, or I'm sorry, bus 12. So that will take care of that part. And then the Clean Ohio bus part is just replacing 2 of them, and those are not allowed to be used after they get decommissioned. So we'll actually have to cut the frame, we'll have to drill a hole through the block, and be sure that they don't get reused in order to get that money. But that's the most extreme part of any of this.
And I think in the conversations, they actually are looking for us to do monitoring. I mean, I think this is more of an experiment, and that's why we were provided the money to give knowledge of what the future is going to be and the pros and cons. And I think that's why it's significant that we actually have 2 different types of buses here. I think it's going to spotlight what we're doing, that we're really meeting the true meaning of why they were giving us the money. This is a way to show what's going on with EV buses and hopefully just expand for the future. And I feel like we've had various conversations with probably 8 to 10 vendors at this point.
At least.
And you've had more as of late.
Today.
Yes, you've had a lot today, but I really think it's going to be a significant situation for our community to be able to shine and show people what EV buses can do. And we have the perfect situation for it, so.
Are we locked into a time frame that you have to keep the buses X number of years?
5 years.
5 years?
And
So if they would turn out to be a real problem, something totally unexpected.
It's a 5-year commitment.
But I don't think it's a commitment we would keep them on the routes. I mean, it's a commitment of ownership, but not necessarily utilization.
Okay.
So I really, has seemed to have less strings attached. We were targeted because of our economic status, and it just
And the shorter
helped to.
routes.
And we just have the perfect situation. You couldn't put this just everywhere. And the price of buses have gone up so much. A bus that we were paying just 2 years ago, $95,000, or $127,000 now. So this is an opportunity for us to have some new equipment and not have to worry about it for a while. And they anticipate the life of the batteries at 8 years.
Mhm.
But
They're guaranteed for 8 years.
they're guaranteed for 8 years, but our understanding at a nominal price, we'll be able to expand that up to 12 years. And it seemed reasonable, the prices they were talking about. So as this technology grows, we might be able to even improve the structures that we have.
That's good. One other question in regard to the track. How deep is this drainage that they're putting in, and how far apart are they, do you know?
Without the blueprints in front of me, I couldn't tell you exact, but the way it was described even today, we meet with construction folks weekly, most days, most weeks. But they start in those 4 quadrants at the high end in the middle of the field and then go out to the drains that are already there around the outskirts of the field itself that's inside the field. At the peak in the middle, it sounded like they were 3 or 4 inches below the topsoil, and they said there were 7 to 8 inches of topsoil through the whole thing.
That's what I heard, 7 to 8.
So towards the end, you're talking in probably 4 inches lower than that. So there's, I don't remember quite what he said. It seems like it was 1.5% grade on these. But there are 13 of them in each quadrant. 13 of them across.
24 wasn't there?
It's 13 across, there's 26 of them across the field.
24.
So they're
24 of them,
24.
okay, they eliminated the
pretty
two
close
middle.
together there. So the reason that I was asking, there's ground settling issues.
Mhm.
If out in the farm drainage, which is deeper, there's significant settling yet the second year.
Yep,
And I'm sitting here visioning
dips.
dips.
Now, here's something kind of cool with this
Yeah.
After the
situation.
spot is in.
This is,
This was a conversation we spent a long time on today. How they do this, and I'm not even sure I can see the knife. It's here on the field, but right here behind the bulldozer, you can't really see it here.
But they're plowing them
They knife it in a traditional knife in a farm field would just knife it in, and the plastic tile goes to the bottom of that knife and stays in that trench, so to speak. In this, what they do it the same way, but they also have I'm gonna say a 14 to 18 inch piece on top of that goes up almost to the top of the level of the subsoil, where they don't gravel into it through this big hopper. And as that goes through, that gravel drops down into that loose, separated piece where the knife went through, and actually goes into some of those little cracks and crevices down in there to prevent some of that settling. So it not only diminishes the settling from later, but gives us better drainage for that water to go through that. So, and then on top of that, they go through with the hoe and take off, they said, one swath, and it was a 2-foot bucket, as they go through. So they take out 2 foot wide soil on top of all of that, down, I think, 6 or 8 inches there, and then fill all that in gravel as well, and then layer the topsoil back on top of it. So hopefully we don't see a lot of settling, but we've also got irrigation go on top of this, and there's some other things too. But I'm hoping that by the time we're done with this, we've got quality people working on this. And I feel like this is a piece that not everybody has the option to do. So I was real impressed. They actually had videos of this, and I wanted to share that with me, and maybe I can share that with you guys later on. But it was really cool how they did that.
it was amazing, and I've been around a lot of drainage in my life, and it seemed like it was a sufficient way to mitigate any settling that you're talking about. So it's a very good question, and it was one that was just addressed today in discussion. So I think it felt very comfortable. I think we both felt very comfortable after the conversation, because
It'd be awful unfortunate if you had a nice field of sod in there and then started getting divots in them.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun.
no, he was talking about how he spread that out and how mechanically it works to allow the drainage to seep through, and it was seemed very well thought out.
And it was actually something he created himself. He welded it together and came up with this design himself. Funderburg Excavation is doing this. And I'm looking on the website here, seeing if they got anything, or their Facebook page. I'll have to get that. I know it was a TikTok that he showed me, but it was amazing how the thing works, and it showed the gravel dropping down through there and filling the gap behind that knife, and it was just very impressive how it worked.
Any other questions? Sir, our treasurer update.
I'm going to keep it very brief tonight, as we will be voting on the audit. We are finally through the audit, and I'm thrilled to have that situation. Everything was positive in the audit. The only thing is we're not doing GAAP, which at some point in time I would like to do. But we're not able to do it till we get through the fixed assets, and that's going to be one of the endeavors to take care of. But actually, everything went very well. We were able to answer all the questions. They never stepped on the grounds of the school this year. So we were able to provide them enough information via our different software and via just scanning options that we just had a very favorable audit, and it was actually at a much lesser cost since we were bid out this year than we've had in the past. So, and that's what I think we're gonna see, that 3 years we were bid out at a certain price, and it was done with some of the Miami County smaller schools, but our audit was 2/3 of what it was last year.
And how long did it take from start to finish?
Well, it actually, I started providing them information in August, and I provided the last information in December, the first part of December, but that wasn't steady. It was heavy at first, and then you didn't hear a lot. So my biggest concern was, I thought we should have been done about the end of October, and I didn't hear anything for a while, so apparently they got off the situation, but we are done now, and as I said, it was a favorable audit. We didn't have any problems whatsoever. We were able to provide everything. So, and on the heels of the more exciting things, what Mr. Hurst has been talking about on these buses, which is part of the excitement in the office these days. There are some other available credits that can be gotten because of the type of infrastructure we're talking about. And I believe I found a way so we can get some direct credits, even though we are an exempt organization who would not be subject to that. So we're looking on that. I think we can get these buses down to where they cost us little or nothing. And, but I think it's just going to be real positive for the school district. We're extremely excited
We
about it.
are. It's a good effort, and then ongoing costs will be reduced by not having 2 buses with diesel costs. So
Oh,
that'll be the interesting numbers you'll be able to help plot.
Well, and it's just fun. I mean, electric vehicles are their own world now, and knowing that there's so much less moving parts in those vehicles, we're hoping that our maintenance costs are cut dramatically. Our cost of fuel will be cut dramatically. Hopefully this is something that everybody will be doing at some point.
well, and we had that analysis. It was, I think you provided that analysis at one point. That was a terrific savings.
They forecasted around 33 to 34% of what we are currently paying now.
Do we
That's
still
from
use
Samsung.
our solar, are our solar still working too?
Yeah.
Excellent. Any questions? Thanks. Would be the public participation. Did you have any requests?
We did not.
So next item is the financial report from the treasurer. The superintendent recommended approving the consent items, and the treasurer will give us a high-level overview of what we'll be approving.
Okay, we will be talking about the financial journal, the check register that you've been provided, the then and now certifications, and we have for this time the transfers and advances for the month, the permanent appropriations that will be completed this month, and of course, we're talking about the audit from the BHM CPA group that's been completed. Then we have some following donations: the Bradford Marching Band for $500, Shane Snyder for $100, the Tony Copley Award for $500 for a scholarship, the Bradford FFA for $600 from Eldora Speedway, Common Ground Christian Church $70 for the school lunch program, BD Transportation 28, 23, 22 for scholarships. We also have a petty cash fund in the amount of $100 for use of the Rotary Cafe and the educational program that's going to be service the schools from the special ed department, and recommend that the Board of Education approve the disposal document RC3 to be sent to the Ohio Historical Society for disposal under the Ohio Revised Code as previously approved on December 20th, 2022 by the Records Retention Committee.
That's correct. We have a motion to approve. In a second. Any discussion or questions? None, roll call for approval, please.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Rindle.
Yes.
Next, we have no old business to discuss, but we do have new business consent items 1 through 11. And the superintendent recommends approving those consent items. And Joe give us an overview, a high-level overview of what we want to approve.
Sure thing. In the consent agenda item, we'd like to hire Stephanie Wood as a substitute aide that will be on a long-term situation with one of our students. We'd like to increase the salaries for our substitute aides and cafeteria staff to keep up with the minimum wage changes. Our mileage changed as of January 1st to follow the IRS rate, which is outlined in Administrative Guidelines 6550. Number 4 is up for our Blizzard bag modification, and that's going to allow us to do some online remote learning as we have discussed in our master agreement, but that will be after our 5 calamity days and any makeup days that are possible before testing in March. Number 5 is after-school tutoring at the rate of $20 an hour, just to set that for the year. Number 6 is intervention program for the 3rd grade reading guarantee. The elementary is going to do that again to get those kids extra help to get past that required test. Number 7 is the sale of athletic and miscellaneous equipment, which is obsolete for the district and no longer needed. Number 8 is a contract with Spurrier Installation to spray foam 2 of the walls in the bus barn in the maintenance area, along with blowing insulation in the attic of the concession stand for a total of $5,114. We did have 3 quotes for that to mitigate procurement, but that'll also help with heating and air conditioning costs in the concession stand, since we now have an air conditioner out there as well. Number 9 is the recommendation to go with the insurance claim of $50,923 for bus number 20 that was in need of some repairs after finding a pole in our parking lot. And number 10 would be upgrades on the HVAC system in the total of $6,360 paid through ESSER's funds. Number 11, and the last one in the consent agenda item, is for approval for me to apply for another grant to find an EV van if they're out there. I just got off the phone with the Ford rep today and said they don't make them yet. So I'm going to start talking with Chevy tomorrow and see where we go.
A motion to approve consent items 1 through 11.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion or questions?
On number 1, is that a new position or a sub position?
It's a substitute aid, however, we are going to use them regularly, daily.
So it's not really subbing for someone else's job.
It is not subbing for someone else's job. It would just be a person that would be paid as a sub while needed. So now there was somebody that was doing it for a while. This person would be continuing on that same scenario, same person, same kid. So,
I was just curious if it was like someone was out and we're subbing for them.
No.
So it's not really, okay.
The spray insulation going into the mechanical areas of the bus barn, is that material fire retardant?
no,
Is that a concern in that type of an area?
well, of course, it's a concern. I will double check on that. I don't think it's fire retardant, but I will check. Let's just say that.
You know, if they're running a grinder or something like that and it's throwing sparks around, I think it's something that we should.
Isn't this the
Take a look at.
cellulose?
It is. Is that fire retardant?
I thought the
Because
cellulose,
I don't
this is cellulose sprayed in, which
Oh.
It's-
No, the cellulose is the stuff we're throwing in the attic.
no,
Is it foam?
I think it's like, it almost looks like a wool is what I'm understanding, not the spray foam. This isn't the spray foam, I don't believe.
It's-
We will find out for sure.
We will.
But I believe, my impression of it was that he didn't want the spray foam, that he was using the actual cellulose type.
Yeah, it looks like this is spray foam for walls.
It's spray foam
Cellulose
for
for
the
this.
walls.
Spray foam's
It is for the 2 walls in the bus barn. It's a spray foam between the 2 guys.
Okay.
There's various kinds of spray foam. I know we have.
We'll check on that, make sure we're not throwing up something that will involve the building as soon as somebody.
It'd be a real shame if it doesn't.
It wouldn't.
That would be a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that would
actually,
definitely be a.
probably wouldn't pass inspection.
Wonder how well they do.
Yeah.
You know,
Because they
what,
won't let it exposed if it's flammable.
what we put in our house was more of a cellulose and it was sprayed in and it was not flammable. I like what you're talking about. I had that in my head and that may be a misconception on my part, but I had that in my head.
Yeah, just double check that.
And I know that's a conversation we had, but I don't know if I heard the result of it, so we'll follow up.
It'll depend on code, because certain times you have to cover the foam, so you can spray it, but you're gonna have to put drywall
Right,
over it or something
right.
over it.
And we thought if we didn't have to cover it, we could get the spray foam and it would be more cost effective. But we'll double check that, because we talked about, blowing in insulation or using a roll fiberglass and putting something over top of it. We thought, okay, the spray foam, we didn't have to do that, so we'll check. Good question.
Number 9, when you taking the poles out of the parking lot, or somebody else does them?
We had that conversation today as well.
It's a busy day.
It was a good meeting, let's just say that. The electrician is supposed to be coming back out soon, but I couldn't tell you exactly when. He's pulling the electric out of those poles. And then the contractor that's working the dirt out there right now is the guy that will demolish those poles. But yeah, we want them out there gone as soon as possible. Now, full disclosure, we talked about moving the electric from the main pole out there that's got the junction box in it, trying to push that either to the edge of the pavement or even into one of those islands. So if we did get the chance of getting grant money for an electric charger for public use with a credit card or something like that, we could use that out there. So we want to protect the wiring and the infrastructure that's there, but move things around so they're not a liability.
Sounds like the superintendent's planning on getting an electric vehicle.
Gosh, but there's no way I'm gonna afford one. No way. Maybe someday, who knows?
Maybe Michelle.
I would love to have one too. I just don't know that in our area, it's the best type of vehicle to have at this time. Because there's no, the charging station mainly would be your house, I think.
But we're trying to remedy that.
Here, am I gonna come out and use your electricity at the school if I bought one?
Well, yeah, you can charge it up, we'll take your credit card.
They have them at the hospitals.
Do they?
Yeah, Premier placed them in all their facilities and then Kettering put them in. They built their facilities.
I'm going to meeting, I understand. But I'm just curious what the cost will be for, your license and things like that on it, your plates and things like that, because I know that my daughter works at the BMV and says that the cost is higher.
It is higher.
It is, because you don't pay gas tax. It's $200.
That's very true.
You're not participating in paying for the road maintenance, so it's more
So they
than
have it
return.
Interesting.
They'll find a way for your electric to go up eventually to cover that too.
Well, right now, it makes sense what it would be that, so.
Any other discussion? Not a roll call, but I know.
In the box.
I've created a box.
Lots of choice.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes,
Pastor Reingold.
Yes.
So next on the agenda, we have 3 individual items. So item 12 is accepting the bus bid from Cardinal Sales for 78 passenger EV transit bus not to exceed $455,000. The purchase will be paid from a grant from the Environmental Protection Agency, the Ohio Clean Bus Program, in the amount of $375,000, and a State of Ohio Transportation subsidy through the CCIP in the amount of $65,733.85. This was competitively bid through the Southwest Ohio Educational Purchasing Council. A motion to approve that.
So moved.
Scott, in a second.
Second.
Thanks. Louis, any questions or discussion?
And hopefully that dollar amount will go down as I continue to shop for chargers, because that is included in that bid.
No other questions, roll call for approval?
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yep.
Pastor Rindle.
Yes.
Next item is 13, recommendation to accept the bid from Myers Bus Sales for a 78-passenger EV transit bus not to exceed $389,678. That person shall be paid from a grant from the EPA Ohio Clean Bus Program in the amount of $375,000. That was competitively bid through the Southwest Ohio Educational Purchasing Council. Motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Louis first, Maria second. Any discussion or questions? If not, a roll call for approval, please.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yeah.
Pastor Rindle.
Yes.
And item 14 is a recommendation to accept emergencies in up to 3 level 2 EV charging stations not to exceed $10,000 each, paid completely through a grant through the AES Ohio. Motion to approve.
So moved.
And Trey, a second.
Second.
Scott first. So tell me the difference between the kind of chargers you're getting and the optional chargers that you have.
The charger that was roped into the bid, the bus bid, is a fast charger. So if we wanted to be able to take a bus to a basketball game or a football game or something in the evening, we would quick top off the batteries before we go, and we'd be back up to that 138-mile range. The ones that are in this motion are for slow chargers, level 2 chargers is what they call them. Those chargers are much less expensive per unit, but they take 8 to 10 hours to charge a bus back up to full charge instead of 2 to 3 hours like the other one. This is only going to happen if we get 100% of it paid through grants. And we're working with AES Ohio. We had the first conversation with them 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. We had a second conversation with them just yesterday. They said, yes, the grant money's still there. It's almost a surety that we'll get up to $10,000 per charger, but we don't know all the specifics yet. So if this is a zero cost to the district, we're going to get multiple chargers and use those parking lot extras in the bus barn, hopefully for a van, those type of things, and plan ahead. If this costs the district more, we will come back later. Or if this costs the district anything, we will come back to the district and the board later on and explain those changes. But our interpretation right now is we should be able to get 2 to 3 of these at no cost to the district.
So are these going to be like your regular overnight chargers that you'll keep the buses attached to?
Yes.
And then if you need a boost charge, in a short order, you'll be able to use the DC charger or the.
Most likely, but the DC charger that I found today, the DC charger that we originally had in the bus bid was for one bus and only one bus at a time. The DC chargers that I found today are less price, and they will plug in 2 buses, and you can charge both of them at half rate, or you can program it to say, charge bus A first fully starting at 10 o'clock, and then when it's done, switch to bus B and charge it fully. And then you can unplug them both in the morning and go. So hopefully, honestly, we may not need these chargers here at all. These will be parking lot extras, van, things like that if we have those capabilities down the road. But while the money's there, I'd like to pursue those. And
So these are like 50 kilowatt chargers?
These are 25.
25.
These are 25. The ones that we priced in the other one were 60.
60.
Okay, and so what are your DC charging rates at?
That, the rates?
Yeah, the bigger chargers that you're gonna get to charge them more quickly, what are their charge rates at?
I'm gonna leave that to Carla.
When you're talking about charge rates, you're talking about,
250 kilowatts an hour, how long does it take to charge?
it's different on each one of them, and that's
Oh.
why
How fast does it charge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how many dollars is AES gonna charge us? I'm
No,
sorry.
no, how
I
fast the chargers
misunderstood.
are, it's the,
They can go from the fast ones to 60 kilowatt. The slowest one I've seen was 4 hours. Most of them are saying they can finish basically everything up between 2 to 3 hours, just because you'll never get down below 20%.
so it's not super fast.
Not super fast, but there's a lot of batteries there. So, yeah.
But one of the things that we've been working on, and this is in long-term planning, is that we're actually trying to get AES to put in another pole and a separate transformer and isolate that building, because we've got to do this so it's not at non-peak times. And isolating that building allows us to use lesser rates of electricity, lower cost than if we were to tie it into the building. That one of the things that we started out with was tying it into the main building. We've got to save that infrastructure for the track and for the building back there. This other situation will allow us to isolate that, and hopefully we can do this at non-peak times and create a better situation, a better cost situation for us.
And get better data too for the utilization and total cost, to be able to separate it.
Exactly.
That sounds great. Roll call for approval.
So I got a question. The charger that would be out in the parking lot, does the bus and cars take the same plug?
They can. Basically, if you were to picture the plug, there's a round piece for slow chargers, like what we're talking about in the parking lot. A fast charger will have that round piece and an oval piece right underneath of it. So, and I don't know, Dr. Swab, you may be able to chime in here, but my understanding is cars will typically take a fast charger. But I think if you take a fast charger,
The
will they
proprietary
take both?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on like general electric vehicles have the same kind of charger like in Europe. And like I have a Tesla, so it has a proprietary charge point. So it won't charge on a regular charger without an adapter. And so it can charge into a slow charger like I have, runs like 48. So it does 48 kilowatts. So it'll slowly charge overnight. And then the faster chargers, which have the same device, those same connection, will charge like my car. I can charge it like Vandalia and do 100 miles in like 20 minutes, 100 and 150 miles, because it has a much faster charge as the DC supercharger. So they're all will be the same. If your vehicle it'll have adapters to plug into the different ones. Like you see all the ones like Charge America, like at Walmart, has these different charging centers. So your vehicle will have different adapters that you'll have to match the device that's on the charging station to fit to your vehicle. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Yeah, and it's not standardized totally across the board
What is
yet.
it, P1772 is the charger that. J1772
Yeah, I have a
is
whole
the
little box that came with my car that you can pick and choose. If you need to use at the hospital, I use a different plug than what I use at home.
Also, they want all your trunk space.
Yeah, well, you get two trunks because you don't have a motor, so you have a front trunk and back trunk.
But they actually have maps to instruct where there are various charging stations, and it would be nice to have Bradford be on one of those maps, so that would be a goal.
Yeah, you can they used to have one at Kroger's, you can swipe your card, you do it by an app, and it just charges or will charge your credit card based on it. You have to be very careful because that's a whole nother can of worms on how that's charged. You have to be, lots of times it costs much more than gasoline, depending on how they're charging actually giving you for what you're paying is a lot you have to be very, very careful.
Weren't we told at one time, you were talking about charging a bus between the afternoon route and a field trip ball game? Weren't we told at one time that the batteries had to be charged to full charge?
I said that I asked both companies and they said that is not true anymore.
Okay.
So that was a misconception on my part.
Yeah, actually for like regular EVs, like my car, the best if you only charge them to 70%, it improves the lithium battery life. So you had degradations. Like initially when my car was new, it charged to 300 miles, full charge. Now it does like 298. But I'll never really go above 70%. unless like you're going to travel. I'm gonna go to Cincinnati, so I just get my phone, turn it up to 100 and away you go. And so it makes the battery last longer. So it depends on the software and the technology. But it's always, you just figure out whatever the manufacturer has. And there was an article by this guru who studies these batteries. And so his recommendation was 70%. That was 5 years ago when I started my car. So
Isn't it also better for the battery to charge them slower than fast all the time?
yeah, so you don't do, like, I've only supercharged my car like a half a dozen times. I just charge it at home. And then if you have to get out, you want to go to Columbus and you didn't calculate that, it's kind of like flying an airplane. You have to get fuel to get there, and you got to get fuel to get back. So it's a whole lot of different driving philosophy than what you're used to. But it's a little bit less expensive, and for loops like a bus, it makes perfect sense.
No more questions for me.
If no other questions, we'll call for approval.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Randall.
Yes.
Next item is a motion to move into executive session for item G1 on the agenda.
So moved.
And I will second. We'll call for executive session.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Randall.
Yes.
7:25. And we won't have any voting after the executive session.
Thank you. This little calendar.
Kid enough to go to basketball practice? Or you come with me?
And you chose to come here with you. That's impressive. right
Said it's
there.
allowed in the gym. And I have a computer in my room and, so he was content with it.
All right, sounds good. Should we go across the room? Let's go. Take it off. Move around in here.
I just finished printing the W-2s. That was very many trials and tribulations.
Oh, really?
They changed the whole lot.
New software?
Well, they just changed the process.
I'll give you a $5 bill. Yeah, I do. I have a guy.
Oh, mercy. Mercy, mercy.
Driveway there is a third of a mile high to the house.
Oh,
And there you're going to.
I don't know, 503. It's a Hamilton address.
An hour and 2 minutes.
It's in east of-
Here's a motion to adjourn.
oh,
So moved.
but before, wanted to mention
So I don't
that
know
the
what that
meeting
plaque
is going to
But she
be
said it's a very nice.
instead of,
Yeah, there's a change
So
to
it's like
our,
this size.
February
big
meeting date,
gold, something with a
will
picture,
be
like a historical marker type.
instead of the 21st as scheduled,
Her
it will
family paid money
be
towards it. and
at 6:30 on February the 7th.
But then they have to have meeting on bench too, but she just wanted to. get
Now
that.
may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Scott. And a second? Everybody else seconds?
Yep.
Roll call with you.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Rindle.
Yes.
8:28. Thanks everyone for your time.
Yeah, so maybe if she could just reach out and say